we were in a certain island, and the service would. I shouldn't say island. I gave away too much. But there are a lot of islands.
There are a lot of islands. Yeah, a lot of islands. Yeah.
So we were preaching, and service was supposed to start every night at 7. But so we would get there like 6:30. And at 7, we're not close to starting.
No,
and
yep,
7:20. Yeah. So somewhere around 7:45. I ain't gonna lie, and it is driving me nuts. So for the first 2 days, and so I'm like, all right, let me adjust.
Yeah.
Let me modify because they just move with a different rhythm.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's funny because I tend to get really wound up about that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, the gospel still got preached. People still moved into faith. And what I had to do was simply adjust to the context in which I was serving.
So did you start arriving later yourself, or what did you do?
No, only because it's funny. They required me to be there on time because I was getting picked up every night. But they kind of started when it was time. So, but I think what it did was it changed my energy when I got there. Because when you preach, there's a certain kind of adrenaline ebb and flow.
You're riding
like, man, I'm moving and I'm preparing. And so it reaches a boiling point within me. Like,
and
okay,
I'm
ready to get this out of me. You know what I'm saying? So I had to just kind of adjust that rhythm. The last few nights I was in this, as the Bible say, a certain town, a certain place.
A certain town.
Shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
Life can be fast-paced, strenuous, and flat-out overwhelming. Life transitions and taboo topics can make it hard to catch your breath. Welcome to Breathe, a podcast that enables you to slow down, get your bearings, and engage in real conversations where no topic is off limits. Breathe is presented by Breath of Life, hosted by David Person and speaker-director Pastor Debleaire Snell.
Boom!
There we go.
Hey, we're in here.
Yeah.
We bring the energy.
Bring the energy.
Yeah, we bring the energy.
Bring the energy.
If this was the 1970s, I'd say we bring in the funk.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's not appropriate for this podcast. Anyway.
Hey, the 70s are back. I mean,
they are back.
If I look at my kid's closet, I'm like, what in the world? Anyway, so
and the music too.
The music too, man.
Yeah.
It's wild how it's all cyclical.
Nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new under the sun. But y'all don't know nothing about that.
No.
Welcome to Breathe.
Welcome.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you with us. For another episode of this great podcast, and we say it's great not just because we're excited about it, but because so many of you have told us how you're excited about it.
Absolutely.
So we thank God for this opportunity to minister in this way.
Yeah.
And without further ado,
we're
going to be punctual.
Yeah. We're going to make that a normal.
That's
or maybe we'll make it normal in 2026.
2026. That's the normal.
Yeah.
To be punctual. To be punctual.
That's what we're talking about today.
One of the new normals.
Punctuality as a new normal.
Yeah.
And we didn't plug the book last episode. Do you want to plug the book real quick?
Oh, yeah. We don't have a copy in front of us.
Yeah.
But the book, New Normals, is a 21-day guide to establishing new life patterns. And you'll be able to get it right here, or not right here on our YouTube page, but our Breath of Life website, www.breathoflife.tv.
Yeah.
Or you can go to Amazon.com and you can pick it up, a copy there, along with the Journal Companion back in the month of January. We did and right now we're still doing a series of sermons on it each Saturday, each Wednesday night. So for those who are wanting to kind of get a sense of what's this conversation, idea about, it's all kind of laid out there in the book, and you can check it out there.
Right.
There'll be a playlist as well on the Breath of Life YouTube channel,
Yeah.
which will have the 21 days
of
prayer as well.
with some of the messages.
Beautiful. So, punctuality. Why should that be a new normal?
So, there are always cultural shifts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that in some ways, and if I could maybe aim this conversation perhaps in the direction of some who are a little younger, maybe you want to have your kids and grandkids, they're millennials, kind of pick this up. But I think that, one, let me just give a biblical idea. So Ecclesiastes 3 says that there is a time for every purpose under heaven. And so I think that idea of punctuality or awareness of where I should be and where I should not be kind of ties into that. So, I don't think, so I just think part of you got to kind of know when it's time for me to be somewhere critical.
Right.
And the other thing is, I just think that now that I'm in a position, whether it's through breath or interns that we work with or students, that we're teaching and training, there are just times where they just kind of feel like, I'll get there when I want to. You know what I'm saying? And I just think as a person that does at times employ others, oversee others, one of the distinguishing things between, when you're in the selection process, can you be punctual?
Yeah.
Can you be counted on?
Punctual?
Can you be trusted? And I just think that, for some, that messaging maybe is not being taught at home. Maybe, for whatever reason, culturally, it's a value that's dissolving. And that's fine. So maybe 45, 50 years from now, if Jesus doesn't come, it may not be a big deal. But as you're in a situation where a lot of the people who are decision makers, that is a value of theirs.
Yeah.
I need young people to kind of really say, okay, because it's going to be a value of the person that may be hiring me, that I may be working for, I might not be able to move according to my own rhythm all the time.
Yeah.
I think about it from the standpoint of punctuality shows respect for the people that you're dealing with. It shows that you respect their time, that they have a life. It also conveys consideration for other people's needs and wants, and kind of shows that you're not operating in this bubble where life is all about you and your rhythm. And I think if you, especially if you're trying to work with people, if they can't trust you to be punctual, then they're going to probably distrust you and not be willing to rely on.
Right. Yeah. It extrapolates out. I mean, so if I can't trust you here, then how can I trust you to deliver?
Exactly.
And most deliveries have a time.
Yeah. Have a deadline.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why, whatever. I mean, whatever projects you're working on, I'm working. It doesn't. There's usually a time that thing is intended to be used for, or it's for a particular event.
That's right.
And so, yeah, time is huge. It's critical. I love the respect angle is what immediately came to mind for me. I think in the business world, it is very much a punctual space.
Yes.
I don't even if you're looking to get hired or if you're looking to work with a business, there is a respect for time. And I think also there's an intentionality that goes into showing up on time.
Correct.
And that intentionality also shows up in the quality of your work.
Yeah.
And so that is also a component of it as well. Lastly, I'll say if you have to be late, I think one of the because there's some things that may happen.
Things happen, right?
Yeah, but there's this concept of, man, let me call ahead and say, hey, I know we said 9. Where I'm at right now, we just ran into something. It may not work out, and I just want to respect your time.
Going back to that respect thing, because so even if you, and that's why I think it even goes beyond just a professional ethic.
Agreed.
So if you and I say let's get together for lunch at 12, that's a covenant we're making with one another.
That's good.
All right,
that's good.
And so I may build things around that covenant. It says, okay, so now because I'm meeting David or Kirk at 12 at 1 o'clock, I'm going to go here,
right,
or entertain this appointment, so on and so forth. Well, like now, when that person I enter into covenant with, they show up at 12:40, 12:30.
Yeah.
Now you're complicating the rest of my day, and it creates tension.
Yeah.
And so I think that shows up sometimes in marriage.
It does.
It shows up in friendship. It shows up in worship space. It shows up in workspace.
Yeah.
And see, I think, and you mentioned something, because I think one of the things that impunctuality does is it, especially depending on the setting, especially if everybody doesn't know you very well, it's communicating things about you that may not necessarily be true.
Agreed.
All right?
Yeah, so good.
For some, it may say this person is completely inconsiderate. It may say this person is lazy. It may say this person is not thoughtful. And I think the point you said, and I think that's the overarching idea, is that this person cannot be trusted.
Yeah.
And so because I think there are certain people that are like, man, waiting on these grand or larger opportunities to show what I can do, to show what I'm made of, to show what I've been preparing. And they don't even realize that, like, man, the fundamental inability to get to a place on time. Or the better way for hopefully somebody understands it is to hold up your end of the covenant.
That's it.
It is what is drawing suspicion or calling into question that boss or coworker or friend, their willingness to bestow upon you this larger opportunity or larger responsibility. Because, you know, Jesus made it clear, man, he who is faithful over little gets to be responsible or to be a steward over much. He who is not faithful in the little things doesn't get to be the steward over many things.
It's so true.
And so I think that is a value that is worth embracing or considering if you tend to be one of those people that tends to run behind just a little bit, you know.
But I think there's a component of knowing yourself as well that comes into play. And I think you need to consider yourself, your tendencies as you plan. As you plan, as you enter into the covenant. Man, you know, hey, I know we said let's do 12, 15. You know, because it's not so much that you can't do 12. You're just building into padding in the original agreement. Because you know you. And I think that is a key component. I heard this term, Trevor Noah was talking about time blindness, right?
Time blindness.
And he essentially said, for somebody who suffers from time blindness, it is they see time as now and not now.
Okay.
Interesting.
So it's either. So are we doing it now? No, we're going to do it at 2 p.m. Okay, so not now. And when they hear not now, they fill now with something else. And that now may bleed over into the 2 p.m. And this is the challenge. But I'm just simply saying this is a larger issue that you want to go into because some new neurodivergence that goes into it as well. But my point is you just got to know you. You got to know you got to know yourself and set yourself up for success so that you can be punctual. Because I think it's still possible. You just have to be able to set up for success.
And I think in addition to knowing yourself, you got to know the context in which you operate.
Agreed.
Because I do think, you know, maybe here in North America or some countries, we view punctuality differently.
We do.
Than other
cultural.
Cultures. Other cultures, you know, again, and I don't want to bleed or give rise to any stereotypes. But it's just a different worldview.
It's totally.
It's just a way that, you know, they're not going to be slaves to a clock. There is a different, what's the term? Value upon family time, health,
shouldn't be rushing,
wellness, so on and so forth.
No, you're good. You're right.
In a different context, we actually see it as a negative, that it's lazy, so on and so forth. But when the truth is, man, when you look at some of the, you know, these cultures where just life longevity, happiness, you know, the lack of depression, kind of says there's probably some merit, you know what I'm saying, to what they're saying. And so I'm saying all that to say, I just think you've got to be able to operate, you know, in the context that you're in and recognize it. So it's funny, you know, we were in a certain island and the service would, I shouldn't say island. I gave away too much. But there are a lot of islands.
There are a lot of islands, a lot of islands.
So we were preaching, and service is supposed to start every night at 7. But so we would get there like 6:30. You know, and at 7, we're not close to starting.
No,
and
not at all.
7:20, yeah. So somewhere around 7:45. I ain't gonna lie, and it is driving me nuts. Like some of the first 2 days, and so I'm like, all right, let me adjust. Let me modify because they just move with a different rhythm. And at the end of the day, it's funny because, like, you know, I tend to get really wound up about that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, the gospel still got preached. People still, you know, moved into faith. And what I had to do was simply adjust to the context in which I was serving.
So did you start arriving later yourself, or what did you do?
No, only because it's funny. They required me to be there on time because I was getting picked up every night. But they kind of started when it was time. So, but I think what it did, it changed my energy when I got there. Because, you know, when you preach, there's a certain kind of adrenaline ebb and flow.
You're riding
like,
it.
man, I'm moving and I'm preparing. And
Yeah.
like, so it reaches a boiling point within me. Like,
And
okay, now
I've got
I'm ready to get this out of me. You know what I'm saying? So I had to just kind of adjust that rhythm. You know, the last few nights I was in this, as the Bible would say, a certain town, a certain place. You know,
a certain
Shall
town.
remain nameless.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, culturally it can be different. It can be different as well. But I think understanding the context in which you're in, understanding what you're working with, understanding the people too. You know, because I know a person who's very punctual when it comes on to professional things. Actually, probably anything outside of family.
Yeah.
But family,
Wow.
they play it loose.
A little bit more loose.
Yeah. And the family kind of let them know, like, bruh, we want the same energy, you know? And so I do think you just kind of have to keep that in mind as well, because it does convey something else.
Yeah.
And in none of those contexts did he miss anything, but it just, because he played it so chill when it came to family and then very rigid when it came to other things, they saw that and they interpreted it a certain way.
And I guess really, and I said this in a veiled way at the beginning, as even when I talked about young people, is that young people, if you're going to be working or in a setting where racially you're the minority, you can't show up late all the time.
I agree.
It is just going to leave a mark.
Yeah.
It's going to communicate something. You know, it's funny, there'll be decisions that will be made that will affect you that you can't really participate in or shape because you just weren't there on time. And sometimes there's a little meeting before the meeting, which kind of requires you need to kind of get there maybe a little early at times.
It's so true.
And I guess, that's when I talked about young people just kind of understanding the game, understanding the players, understanding your place, and just kind of how you're going to be perceived. And again, this is not to create a boogeyman. This is not everybody from the majority culture. But I do think that, in the current climate, there's always a slightly different standard for us. And you got to be willing to understand that.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you mentioned the meeting before the meeting because that's game that people need to be hip to. That does happen.
Yep.
Now, I've also noticed, and we're being careful here not to be racially or culturally specific,
Tap dancing,
or in terms of nationality. But I have worked in, let's just say, environments where I was the minority.
Yeah.
And one thing I've discovered is the majority culture can be late too.
Oh, yes, they can.
Yep.
They can be
Yes,
late
they
too.
can.
And in fact, taking it a step further, I remember hearing years ago about Spain. They take afternoon siestas in Spain.
Yep.
And
I was over in Portugal, and they kind of have
Is it the same?
a variation of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And I kind of also got the sense that maybe they're a little relaxed,
a little more relaxed
with time, you know? So it's not just for those who may be tempted to think it's a black thing or an African thing.
No, it's not.
No.
It's a people thing.
It's a people thing.
Yeah.
It's a people thing.
It's a people thing.
Yeah.
But normal, man. Punctuality is a normal. That's good. It's good. It's good.
So to help folks who may be, because of the way they were raised or just because of habits that they have cultivated over the years, who may be struggling with this and they're thinking, okay, pastors, I hear you. I need to do better. Yeah. What advice do you give them?
So there are a couple of things. So one of the things that people that struggle with punctuality do is they may be a little bit too ambitious. Meaning, all right, they've got to be somewhere in an hour, and they will hold the belief that I can stop by 3 stores, and get to my next location in an hour. And that's just really, they're just a little bit too ambitious. And so I just think that, what they do sometimes is they create scenarios where they don't give themselves any margin for error. So meaning what they'll do is like, man, I'm going to leave. I got to be at a certain location at 7:30. I'm going to leave at 7:12. But that time frame requires you to catch every light.
Everything needs to be
perfect.
perfect.
Can't be any, build up in traffic. The weather's got to be ideal, so on and so forth. So I just think just really a really simple strategy is to not, kind of not overload your schedule. And then 2, you just kind of, you got to, I think all of us, I just think you have to build in margin for error, traffic, delay, construction. It's funny, I try to leave in such a time because I know for some odd reason, right in the middle of rush hour, on one of the highways I take in here to the office, they are consistently like picking up trash or during that hour. I'm just like, yo, you can't wait an hour
right here
to 8:30 to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to do that right now.
Bro.
So on and so forth, or picking up limbs or trees from the side of the road. And all the cars are backed up, man. And now
middle of the
everybody's,
day,
you know,
evening. But they pick 5 p.m.
Yeah, right in the middle of things. So I just think you just got to just give yourself a little bit more padding. And I think that will help quite a few folk that struggle with punctuality.
I was going to say the word that came to mind was margin. That was the exact word. So as soon as you said, I'm like, that's the one. You know, I use this scheduler called Calendly to do, allow people to book sessions and coaching, different things like that. And as I was setting up the schedule to give it time that people could book, it asked me what's the margin you want between each appointment. And I thought it was interesting, because it's all virtual. I'm not going anywhere to meet anybody, but it just kind of forced me to recognize you need padding. You need margin. You need a buffer to be able to do certain things. And just for the eventualities of life. Something may happen. I mean, you have no idea. I try to leave with enough time that if I need to turn back around and go back home and pick something up, I still have. I forgot that. Let me go back and pick it up.
Because it happens.
It happens. You're just giving yourself space for being human. And I think that's the main thing I would say to folks who struggle with punctuality, myself included. I just have to make sure I have that padding. Yeah.
So I know there's an old saying that some people live by, and it goes something like this: if you're on time, you're late.
Agreed.
Yeah. So you really want to be there 5-10 minutes early. So that goes to what you're saying about padding. You have to account for, eventual unexpected things that may happen. That are out of your control.
That's it.
You never know what will happen. So if people, I think if they take that mindset and give themselves maybe whatever time they think, like you were going back to your 10-12 and that, story. Maybe if you just back
take me
that
18
up to
minutes.
10.
30
back up to 10. Yep, that's it.
And if you end up getting there 10 minutes early, it's okay.
That's a win.
That's a W.
Win. Yep.
Check your phone.
Check your phone. Yeah.
Do something
Set
like
up.
that.
Man, clear off your desk.
Say a prayer. Clear your head.
And I just think the other thing, when you go back to that consideration standpoint, David, I just think you should probably operate with the assumption that people's greatest asset is their time.
Yes.
Like, same way I wouldn't just walk up to you and, you're drinking something. I'm just going to waste your drink and knock it over.
Right.
Or take your plate of food and just
that's good.
Tip it over and just waste your food. Like, do you realize that when you kind of are consistently late, that's what you're doing in somebody's time. And I'm kind of one of those people where my time is valuable. I'm not like this super important person, but like because of the way I go about my day.
You got to keep it moving.
So like, this may be the high point of your day, but I got a number of things, not the high point, but this may not be a critical part of your day. But I got other stuff I'm always moving to. And so when you kind of drag that down, it may drag down the energy of our encounter just a little bit, just because I'm moving to the next thing. And so I just think, you should assume that whoever you're meeting with or whoever you're partnering with or you're getting together to do this project, that they value their time.
That's right. That's right.
That's a good assumption.
So for those of you who have that struggle but realize you need to make punctuality your new normal.
Let's go.
You can do it, but, just remember, you want to respect other people's time. You want to be seen as reliable and consistent and know yourself, as we have said here. Know yourself. And if you need to build in some extra time into your schedule in order to get from point A to point B so you can be punctual, that's okay.
That's okay.
It's all right.
Yep.
Be 10 minutes early. That'd be better than being 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
All right. You can do it.
You can do it.
It may be a challenge, but you can do it. Stop, pray, and breathe.
Breathe is produced by David Person for Breath of Life. Executive producer is Debleaire Snell. and sound engineer is Kirk Nugent. Audio episodes of Breathe can be found on Apple, Spotify, or Google podcast platforms. For video episodes and extra content, check out the Breath of Life YouTube channel. Breath of Life is faith-based content, resources, and programs from a contemporary urban perspective for those looking for hope and guidance. We believe that every breath we take is a testimony that God is consistent, that He loves us, and has a plan for our lives.